Yahoo Fantasy Auto Racing Week 20 in the Tucson Racing Group. We're here to talk about what's happened since the Brickyard 400 was held today at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In the actual race itself, the winner this week was Jamie McMurray. McMurray helped Ganassi Racing complete a triple crown of sorts in motorsports in America, winning the Daytona 500, the Brickyard 400, and the Indianapolis 500 in the same year for that car owner. So, unusual feat. No owner has ever done that before, and McMurray helped get the job done this week. Second this week, Kevin Harvick, followed up by Greg Biffle in third, Clint Bowyer fourth, and Tony Stewart wrapping up the top five. In the point standings in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, Kevin Harvick maintains a 184-point lead over Jeff Gordon, followed up by Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, and Kurt Busch, who are all separated by just 2 points. Race notes: Juan Pablo Montoya won the pole on Saturday and absolutely dominated this race. He led the most laps in the event and was the favorite car to win. Unfortunately, he did not pull out the win. We'll talk about that in just a second. Right off the bat, though, the race had a very interesting storyline that wound up not really developing past lap 20, but prior to lap 20, like half a dozen teams had to come to pit road for overheating issues. Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Scott Speed on the list of drivers who had to come in really early in the race. This wound up costing Denny Hamlin pretty much his chance at doing anything good this week, because he wound up chasing the lucky dog pass for the rest of the race and was unable to get his lap back till really late in the going. The other major story was the non-factor that Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon wound up becoming. Both drivers incurred serious issues in the race. Jeff Gordon had a cut tire, which dropped him out of contention, and Jimmy Johnson really struggled with the setup. They wound up having to change some parts on pit road under caution and lost a lap doing so. They were able to gain their lap back late in the going, but it did not matter for them. So both of the Hendrick Powerhouse teams were really a non-factor at a track where they've won, I believe, 7 times. So that was a surprise for sure. Juan Pablo Montoya, we talked about him dominating the race. On the final set of pit stops, his team decided to go with 4 tires, and a group of about 6 drivers went with 2. This put him back in line. The driver, of course, known for his bad temper, was very upset that he had a bunch of cars in front of him with only about 15 laps to go. He overdrove the car and wrecked himself coming out of turn 4. Running in the top 10, trying to pass people to make up all the ground he had lost. He wound up taking out Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the process, too. So Montoya, not making friends on the racetrack, overdrove his car, wrecked the car, drove it straight to the garage, and refused to interview after the race. But his teammate, Jamie McMurray, wound up pulling out the victory. So a great win for them, puts them right back in that chase for the top 12 spots in points as well. In the Tucson Racing Group, the winner this week was The Wall Always Wins with 331 points this week. This is the 5th win for that team, ties that team for the league lead in wins. The Wall used 3 drivers who got top 5s, McMurray in first, Clint Bowyer in fourth, and Tony Stewart in fifth, and wrapped it up with C Group best Paul Menard for a 14th place finish. Second this week, High, Wide, and Handsome with 307 points, finished 24 points out of first place this week. The main difference, this team benched Tony Stewart and started Juan Pablo Montoya instead. That almost paid off because Montoya should have probably won this race, but with Montoya's troubles, he wound up 32nd. But the other 3 drivers on Handsome's roster matched the other 3 drivers on the Wall's roster, so still wound up with a pretty good result. Third this week, 53 points out of first place, was Lightning McQueen, 278 points total. Had 3 drivers in the top 10, with Clint Bowyer 4th, Tony Stewart 5th, and Jeff Burton in 6th. But then also added Sam Hornish Jr.'s 30th place run. Hornish ran into some trouble during the race, so that brought down that team's performance. Fourth this week was Team Edwards, the driver, with 272 points. Just 6 points out of third, 59 points out of first place this week, so a respectable run for that team. Had 2 drivers in the top 10, with Joey Logano in 9th and Kurt Busch out of Group A with a 10th place finish. And then the other 2 drivers got top 20s. That was Casey Kane in 13th and AJ Allmendinger in 16th out of Group C. Fifth this week with another top 5 and yet another decent run, Greek Thunder with 258 points. 73 points out of first place this week. Had 2 drivers in the top 10 with Jeff Burton and Kyle Busch, but then also had Paul Menard in 14th, and unfortunately had Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 27th when all was said and done. Jr. actually would have had a much better finish and could have possibly propelled Greek to a top 3 finish had he not been collected by Montoya late in the race. And the only other driver to score points this week was Hulk Smash, coming home in 6th this week with a really poor performance. 197 points, 134 points out of first this week. No drivers in the top 10. The best finishing driver was Casey Kane in 13th. And then 3 drivers in the 20s. Jeff Gordon was 23rd, Scott Speed was 25th, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. was 27th. So Hulk continues to lose a lot of ground in the standings, especially to Lightning McQueen in that battle for second place. The other 3 teams in the league, Whoa, a left turn, Oh No, a blowout, and Kane Rules, did not score any points. They did not make any lineup changes and had no eligible drivers this week. So we go to the overall standings, and High, White, and Handsome continues to lead by 150 points over Lightning McQueen. So McQueen still keeping in touch with the leader and also now putting some distance. Now has a 173-point advantage on Hulk Smash in the battle for second. Hulk is now 323 points out of first place and just 59 points ahead of fourth place. The Wall always wins. The success that the Wall has seen in the last couple of weeks has helped close that gap between third and fourth, and we have ourselves a definite battle for the third place spot. Fourth, the Wall always wins, is 382 points out of first place. Rounding out the top 5 is Team Edwards, the driver, 541 points out of first place, 159 points behind fourth place, and just 81 points ahead of sixth, with Greek Thunder really coming on as of late. We have ourselves a definite battle for the fifth place spot as well. Greek Thunder sits 622 points out of first place overall. And then rounding out the field, you have Whoa, which is 1,510 points out. Blowout is 1,548 points out, and Kane Rules is over 3,000 points out of first. Next week is the Sunoco Red Cross Pennsylvania 500 from the triangle-shaped Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania. It's the 2-mile track with 3 very distinct turns, so you're going to want to make sure you have specific drivers for that racetrack that are going to be good at that type of surface. The pool for your driver stock locks on Friday at 2 a.m. and the starters are going to lock Saturday at just after 10 a.m. Starters lock Sunday just after 10 a.m. So we hope to see everybody back for week 21 action from the Pocono Raceway, and same time next week. We'll catch you all later.